Good day, dear friends. We continue to monitor the situation at the front on a daily basis. Well, today is March 8th, and of course, I would like to take a moment to congratulate all our female subscribers, girls and women, on their special day. Let's not get into the details or the history of this holiday. What's important is that it's yet another opportunity to do something kind for the women around us, and we should definitely take advantage of that. So, happy Women's Day to all of you. Now, let's get back to analyzing the situation at the front. Let's open the map. Well, friends, there is currently more political news than frontline news. Nevertheless, the front remains highly active, and Ukraine continues to lose several dozen square kilometers daily, sometimes even more. Just yesterday, for example, a breakthrough of 35 kilometers was recorded in one sector. But let's go step by step. Southern Front. Let's start from the south and work our way north. I want to begin with this particular section of the front, the village of Kamyansk in the Zaporizhia region. Here, Russian forces have almost completely erased the previous gains of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, UAF. You may recall that Ukrainian forces had launched attacks from the right bank to the left and even managed to push Russian positions slightly. However, you can now see that control over the left bank has been restored by Russian forces. The Americans are still marking this area as a gray zone on their maps, but Russian forces have already started probing UAF defenses on the left bank. By the way, I recently traveled to the Zaporizhia region to deliver a UAZ pickup to the guys stationed at these positions, in Vasilivka, Lugov, and Kamyansk. Eastern Front. If we move east, fighting continues in the area around Pyatikatki. However, there has been no significant progress over the past 24 hours, nor in other areas of the Zaporizhia region. Velika Novosilka area. The situation is entirely different south of Velika Novosilka. The front here is very dynamic. After Russian forces secured control over Berlitsk and Privon, the main assaults are now targeting Shevchenko and Von Pol. At the moment, fighting for Von Pol is already underway. It's not yet marked on the map, but Ukrainian sources have confirmed this information. The UAF will not be able to hold back Russian assaults here for long. It's likely that by the time you're watching this, Ukrainian forces will have already retreated from Von Pol toward Shevchenko. Ukrainian forces understand that they won't be able to hold Shevchenko for long, because the assault is coming not only from the south but also from the east, from Berlitsk. That's why they themselves are writing that they will have to fall back to the third line of defense, which is already positioned behind Shevchenko. Dnipro-Enerhodar area. Meanwhile, the battle for Dnipro-Enerhodar is ongoing, but there hasn't been any significant progress. Ukrainian forces are holding the line and repelling Russian attacks. Russian artillery and drones are actively targeting the village, and sometimes FAB bombs are also being used. By the way, I posted footage on my Telegram channel showing how a FAB 3000 hit the village of Komar, which is about 6 kilometers north of Dnipro-Enerhodar. Quite a sight. Support request. The guys on the front lines have asked for help. They need drones, thermal imaging scopes, and a drone detection system, which is extremely important. A drone detector helps identify incoming threats and gives enough time to take cover and save lives. There's a donation link at the top. Any amount will help save lives, so please consider contributing. Back to the frontline situation. Beyond the third line of defense near Shevchenko, Russian forces are also working to bypass the second line of defense. This line runs from Komar along the river to Fedorivka and then through the fields toward the Rozdon-Bohaider road. There is currently no movement at this position toward Otradin because this section is heavily fortified. A direct assault would result in heavy casualties, so instead, Russian forces have started moving eastward, south of Rozliv. They've already advanced 3 kilometers along a 2 km wide stretch, securing control over approximately 6 square kilometers. The ultimate goal here is to reach the Rozdon-Bohaider road and outflank the defensive line from behind. If they succeed, this would render the entire defensive line useless, opening a direct route toward the Zaporizhia-Kurakov road and putting the Ukrainian garrison in Bohaider at risk of being completely surrounded. Rozliv and Andrivka. Fighting for the village of Rozliv is already underway, with clashes on the southern outskirts. In neighboring Kostiantynivka, the situation is extremely precarious. Ukrainian sources have even reported that their forces may be withdrawing from the village, but this information is not yet confirmed. Further north, the Russian cleanup operation in Andrivka is complete. Russian forces have advanced more than 3.5 kilometers eastward toward the outskirts of Alexivka. While no direct assault on the village has been recorded yet, it's possible at any moment since the distance between the positions and the village outskirts is only about 500 meters. A final push could happen very soon, and that would also put Bohdair at risk. After Alexivka, there are only a few small settlements before reaching the Dnipropetrovsk region. Northern Front. Further north, Russian forces are advancing through the fields to straighten the front line and link up with positions in Zaporizhia. There has been some movement near Nadazdinka, but it's limited to 100 to 150 meters. No major breakthroughs toward Dnipropetrovsk have been recorded yet. Conclusion. That's all for today regarding the situation at the front. Once again, don't forget about the guys asking for help. They need a drone detection system and a thermal imaging scope. Even a small contribution can save lives. Wishing you a great holiday and a peaceful day. See you soon. Shevchenko area. Specific actions are being taken to bypass the second line of defense, which is located here, from Komar along the river to Fedorivka, then through the fields toward the Rozdon-Bohdair highway. This explains why there is currently no movement from Komar toward Otredn. The reason is that this section is heavily fortified with a continuous line of defense. A direct assault on it would result in heavy casualties, which is why Russian forces have halted here and instead begun advancing eastward. Advance south of Rozliv. South of Rozliv, Russian forces made a swift breakthrough of 3 km along a section approximately 2 km wide. As a result, they gained control over a total of 6 square kilometers. The main goal here is to reach the Rozdon-Bohdair highway and, crucially, to flank the defense line from the rear. If the advance continues, Russian forces will effectively enter the rear of the defensive line, making it completely ineffective. This would open the way to the Zaporizhia-Kurakov highway, putting the Ukrainian garrison in Bohdair at risk of being completely encircled. This is the primary objective of the current operation. Fighting for Rozliv. At the moment, fighting is underway for the village of Rozliv, which is another obstacle on the path to the Rozdon-Bohdair highway. Clashes are currently concentrated on the southern outskirts of the village. Critical situation in Kostiantynivka. In Kostiantynivka, the situation is hanging by a thread. Interestingly, yesterday Ukrainian sources suggested that Ukrainian forces might be withdrawing from the village. However, this information still needs to be verified and clarified. As of now, Ukrainian forces are maintaining a presence in the northern part of Kostiantynivka, but the situation remains extremely fragile, and the defensive line could collapse at any moment. Andrivka area. If we move further north, the clearing operation in Andrivka has been completed. Russian forces are already in control of the western part of the village. Although Ukrainian sources, including some state media, have not acknowledged full Russian control over the village, Ukrainian military analysts have started to question why the village hasn't been officially declared lost yet. Russian forces have advanced more than 3.5 km from Andrivka toward the eastern outskirts of Alexivka. Although no assault on Alexivka itself has been recorded yet, it could happen at any moment since the distance between Russian positions and the village outskirts is only about 500 meters. A final push into the village could happen at any time, which would spell trouble for Bohdair as well. Advance beyond Alexivka. Once Alexivka falls, there will only be a few small farmsteads left before the Russian forces reach the Dnipropetrovsk region. Further north. North of Andrivka, Russian forces are advancing through the fields in an effort to straighten the front line and link up with positions currently held in Zaporizhia. Progress near Nadazdinka has been limited, with movement measured at around 150 meters. No major breakthroughs toward the Dnipropetrovsk region have been recorded yet, even though it's essentially within arm's reach at this point. Final thoughts. That's the latest on the frontline situation for today. Also, don't forget about the guys who reached out for help. They need a drone detection system and a thermal imaging scope. Any contribution will make a difference and help save lives. Wishing you a peaceful and happy holiday. See you soon.